Well, our family consists of, as far as sibling goes, 10 siblings. That was my oldest sister, Orly, my oldest brother, Edward, then the late Congressman John Lewis, my brother Adolph, my brother William Davis, my sister Eltha May, my brother Freddie, my brother Samuel, and then there's me, and my baby sister Rosa May.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So a big family to help work all
Right.
of this land, right?
And my parents, of course, was my father was Eddie Lewis, and my mother was Willie Mae Carter Lewis.
Well, we planted, either like Grant said, we planted cotton, corn, peanuts. Then later, my daddy started selling vegetables and stuff, potatoes, peas, roast ears, corn, you know, and watermelons, big time watermelons, yeah.
Of course.
And we just stayed busy farming, doing something.
And I've heard that the late congressman wasn't necessarily a fan of some of the more labor-intensive work. Tell me a little bit about that.
Right. He always said farming was a form of gambling. You know, you might produce a good crop and you might not. So he didn't necessarily like that too well. He had, and I think the main reason for that, his ideas at an early age, I think, were just bigger than that. I just think he had a goal that was far from here in a sense, but really never forgot that this was his roots. But he knew to accomplish what he needed to or what he wanted to. I think he knew at an early age he had to focus on bigger things, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
And he went for it even at an early age. Around 17, his goals was already started. Yeah.
You're talking about those bigger ideas. You know, I heard he often asked why when seeing things like segregation.
Exactly.
Why? What was the response from your family when, you know, he would bring those things up?
I remember my mom have told us that she would always say that's just the way it is. You know, leave it alone, don't get in trouble. But as we all know, he got in very good trouble.
Great trouble.
Great trouble.
And so, speaking of this area, the university, I know that he attempted to try and attend Troy, and that's kind of how he got into contact with Martin Luther King Jr. Tell me what it means to have his name on a building now on campus. What does that mean to y'all?
It was just an honor for him to be, to go to a place that really didn't accept him at first, but in the end, you know, they sought amend their ways, and I'm just proud of everything he's done. He actually was 9 years older than myself, but the work he done helped me in my life for is having an opportunity to work at places that I never would have worked at if I haven't did something good.
Right, for the work that he put in, absolutely. Now we talked about, you know, he started this mission at 17 years old. Obviously, a lot of danger associated with it at some times. I know that must have been hard for you as his siblings and for his parents, y'all's parents, to, you know, kind of let him go, let him spread his wings. Looking back on that time, what are some of the things you remember, you know, as he really first went off and started leading those marches?
I remember when he would come home during some of the sit-ins and different functioning. When he would come home, a lot of time our parents would take us downtown Troy, and he would sit in the car. He wouldn't get out because he feared that his face would be recognized because of what had been shown on TV, and the retaliation could be devastating for not only him but for his family also. So it was kind of, you know, tough times. And I remember myself, because, you know, I'm even 12 years younger, and I saw a lot of those signs myself. You know, and I was born in 1952, so a lot of those signs and all was still was still there. Yeah. And getting back to the the building. He was asking about the building because his name could have been put on a building on the back part of the campus, but it's the focus building on the campus. So that made me feel proud, really.
Yeah, seeing that juxtaposition.
Seeing that.
Of, them
Yes.
realizing it, and especially in the way that everything transpired.
Right.
A group that didn't accept him in the beginning
Exactly.
and is making amends.
Exactly.
In that way.
And even in the city of Troy, and I don't remember the year, but he was denied also a library card in the city of Troy, the public library. So, even though we've got a long way to go, we've still come so far. But still, a lot of work to be done.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, it was never about him. It was about making a change, making a difference, because he knew the way things was headed, it would not be good. Yeah. He's always been an advocate of equal rights, naturally voting rights. So he worked his inside life pursuing that, actually until the day he died. Yeah.
I was going to ask, a lot of spotlight was shown on him throughout really since he was 17 years old.
Yeah.
How did he handle kind of being in the spotlight, and how has your family handled that as well?
I personally think we've handled it pretty good.
Yeah.
After his passing, one thing we had to realize, you get pulled different angles, asking you to be here, be there. We got some advice from the King family, actually. You do what you can, make as many appearances as possible, but realize you can't be at everything. So you go to the ones you can and you wish the others well. But we tried to honor as many appearances as we can, and because his legacy speaks for itself. There's nothing we can say to change it or add to it, but at the same time, his legacy needs to live on. So if we can enhance that by doing these kind of things, then we're all for it, because he did give his entire life for the betterment of other people. Yeah.
Talking about his roots, and obviously, he went and did all these things, but he knew where his roots were.
Yes.
The boy from Troy has
Yes.
become an infamous phrase.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what that means, that, this place that you all have spent your entire lives, is associated with his legacy that speaks for itself in that way.
Yeah.
All I can say, I'm just proud to death. I'm humble.
Yeah.
That he getting the recognition that he's so deserve.
Yeah.
It's up to us to carry the legacy on.
Yeah.
We can't just sit by the wayside and accept what people are trying to do. They love to turn it around. But the old song they used to sing, ain't gonna let nothing turn me around. We're not gonna let them turn around. If they do, they'll be called we not trying to make matters, good.
Yeah.
Of course. Sorry. Go ahead.
And also, he was a very humble person, and like I said, it never was about him. No, just to make things better for the oncoming generations. The Edmund Pettus Bridge on Bloody Sunday played a big role in things that happened, because they allowed themselves to be kind of put on the bottom, to rise without retaliation. And I think that we all seen Bloody Sunday. We know how vicious it were. So for them to go through that, never raise a hand, never said a word, I think it gave America a wake-up call. It made America look at itself, and I think that's one of the reasons I feel that President Johnson acted in signing the Voting Rights Act in 1965. I really do. I think America took a good look at itself and realized this is not who we really want to be. So,
and we've talked about having still, obviously, a long way to go.
Long way to go.
the term good trouble is become so synonymous with Congressman John Lewis's name.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think about the good trouble that we should be getting into now.
The reason I wear this hat, because I want people to know that John has some good trouble going on, and we need to keep that good trouble alive. Keep it alive. We can't sit back and let people just turn everything around. You know, or even our government trying to turn stuff around. We cannot. We got to get out and vote, and vote, and vote. So we don't. You talking about the Peterson Bridge? Those guys and ladies was on that bridge trying to make a difference, but the Almighty God was walking with them. So that's what made a difference. When God sees people in trouble and they doing for the right thing, He might not come when you want Him, but He always on time.
And also, his good trouble was not getting a DUI, or even though he was arrested more than 40 times before Congress, 5 times after Congress, during Congress. So, but his good trouble was working hard, making sacrifices, speaking out when most people would be quiet, saying what most people wouldn't say because it was the truth. And that was the type of good trouble he got in. Sitting on a lunch counter in Nashville, Tennessee, you know, when he was in college at Fisk University. That was good trouble. And that was good trouble back in the late 50s. So, you know, that was some serious good trouble back then. You really putting your life on the line. Sitting still when the opposition would put cigarette butts out on your head, spit in your face, not retaliate. That was good trouble. Yeah.
Not crazy trouble.
Yeah.
Good trouble.
Good trouble.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course, the congressman's work in D.C. He worked until the day he died
Oh, yeah.
to make a difference.
Yeah.
Tell me about the impact that you've heard from, you know, the capital of the United States on the legacy that he's left there and, you know, changing laws. What are some of the things that have stuck out to y'all since his passing that have really made a lasting impact there?
Well, they used to call, I've heard many statements, congressmen, senators, they used to call the late congressman the conscience of the Congress. And to me, that went really deep because that said a lot. His moral value was good. So I think that's one thing that really stood out. And, you know, during his service, we got a chance to tour a lot of the areas, and some we had already been to, but Sammy and I was at the Capitol when he was in the rotunda, while I was in the rotunda. And every officer that we ran into, would introduce themselves because we had maybe a John Lewis lapel on or something. And then they would, we would introduce ourselves also. And they said most of the congressmen would walk by you and wouldn't say one word, not even good morning. He spoke to each and every last one of them, not one morning, every morning that he walked up on the Capitol grounds. And to me, that tells me that he never forgot his roots, because that's what my parents believed in. So that was important for me. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That good Southern hospitality doesn't it doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
And speaking of this, I've watched some of the documentary Good Trouble that has so many wise words from the late congressman. But one thing that really stuck out to me was his greatest fear was to wake up and democracy be gone.
Be gone.
In coming up on an election year, what are some of the things as the conscience of Congress? What are some of the things that he would say about uniting as a country right now?
Well, he always said that if we can't live in this world, which he called the world house, if we can't live in this world house together, then we will perish as fools. So we have to learn how to get together. Yeah. And that's the only way we're going to survive. The United States is very strong, but we're stronger together than we are divided. So division is what makes us weak. You know? And I just think we could be much stronger if we learn how to get along and be more cohesive instead of divisive. Yeah.
Yeah. What does Black History Month mean to you all?
Well, it means that the progress that Black people have made in this society. A lot of times we not mentioned nowhere until Black history. But Black history should be not just one little short month. It should be a year-round thing. Because you look back at world history, Black people made a good role on everything, from lights to peanut butter, everything. So why we just put it all in one thing? You mentioned about being in this world. This house right here, so 10 of us kids in this house, but together we made a difference to one another. Like you said, John didn't want to get out in the fields and work like we done. But we had a feeling and a love for John that if he wants to get out and do something good, and I had that feeling at a young age, and John trying to do better, we need to let him do better. Come, I had one brother that was tell Daddy, y'all let him go to school. I do his part. And I'm glad he went and did his part.
Supporting each other in that way.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
you know, Black History Month to me is really deep because of, you know, all of us is part of history, regardless what backgrounds we came from. We're part of history. So I'm glad to be a part of the Congressman's legacy. We all grew up in the same house. So I'm just glad that I can talk about his accomplishments. Not only him, I mean, there was countless others that played a role even in his legacy. I mean, there's things that he accomplished that he never would have done by himself. So he had a lot of help, a lot of support. He had a lot of family support. You know, a lot of prayers from my parents. I used to hear him praying at night to take care of those freedom riders, take care of those marchers. So, believe me, God had a role in taking care of them. When you get attacked with dogs and bill clubs and horses and fire hoses, and you don't retaliate, there's a higher power that had to step in. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit, I spoke with your brothers a little bit about what it was like living on this land, growing up in Troy, with the congressman as your brother, but I've heard a story about him preaching to the chickens. Can you tell me a little bit about what that was like?
Oh, he was always preaching. He didn't only preach to the chickens, he preached to us too. And Robert just always been just humble, calm, you know. He always been an activist. Even growing up, he was always an activist. When we was be out, you know, he was always like telling you what to do, how to act, you know, stuff like that. He's always been like that. But you know, he's and when we was growing up, Robert always been the, you know, good at books and going to school, you know, preaching. Robert would preach. Yes, he grew up there. We grew up in going to church, you know, family. So he was always there. But he loved the chickens. But he didn't love hard work because we had to be out in the fields and all. So he was always, you know, he just couldn't understand the work, you know. ethic. So he was always like a bookmark.
Right.
So, but that was all well and good.
It sounds like you all supported him in that way.
Oh, yes.
You knew that he had something going on, something that he was brewing up.
Yes, when he was growing up, he always had this inner, things got to be better. So that was his motto to me. It got to be better than what we was going through. So
you talk about him telling you all how to act and when you are out in public and things like that. How did you see that translate in the work that he did?
Oh yes, yes, I did, really, because he was always later life going in the movement and everything. He was the one that they was always saying, I've even had, I think it was Parade magazine, they called him a saint, like a saint. And that was just him. That was his, way. He always wanted to be the one good, not to be involved in ruckus. But my mother always told you be careful out there. And he was, he was always the one at school. Someone said, we're going to high school, he wore a tie. And his classmate would say that he was always trying to tell them what to do, how to act and everything. That was just him. That was his way.
Some people, who've had a sibling go and do something, so monumental, I hear people say, it came out of nowhere. But it sounds like for John, it didn't come from anywhere strange. This is something that was in him,
It didn't come from nowhere. We was a family of 10 children. And my mother always said she was always proud of all of her children. So she didn't put him on no pedestal or anything. But he was just John Lewis, Robert to us.
Right.
He was Robert. But but he's always been humble. Humble is the way, because he grew up that way. So.
For somebody who never got to meet him, or maybe doesn't even know who he is, what he did, what are some of the words that you would describe?
Robert's always been just calm, collective, and then he had a lot of humor. He had a lot of humor about himself too. The part that that the world didn't know, but he had a lot of humor. Loved people. He just loved people. Even the ones we have been in his presence over in Atlanta. Even the ones that at a restaurant and everything, he was always the one to shake their hands, come up to him, and all. He would never ever to me the ego thing. Cause like some people have a lot of ego. He wasn't that. He had it all like humbleness.
I asked your brothers how he responded to the spotlight, and they had a similar response, that it never...
No.
Because he was so rooted in what his mission was,
right,
what he was there to do.
Right.
You talked a little bit about your mom always telling him, be careful, this is dangerous, what you're going to do. As a sister, what was that like, seeing your brother go off and do these things?
Yes, like when we, growing up, we see him on TV, see him in the papers and everything, we're just proud of him, of what he accomplished, in life and everything. We're very proud of him.
What's one of your most favorite memories?
Oh, Jesus.
I'm sure there's a lot to choose from.
I can't even tell you. Because we all grown up together. We were just family. But, he's had, you would see him on TV getting this Medal of Honor and everything, that was like that really wasn't no big thing. Robert had been out there a long time.
Yeah.
So
it became commonplace.
yes,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right. So that's the way I still feel about him now. Yes, he's still, you know. His legacy is still there. So
We talked about your family, carrying on his legacy, and your brother said it speaks for itself, everything that he
Yes.
did. But what have been some of your favorite things, being able to carry on his legacy after he's been gone?
Robert was an activist. He was an activist. And now when I see things that going on now, I would be thinking, what would he would have said? What would he have said about all of this? Even right here in Alabama. Because he was from Alabama. He probably would have said it publicly. Something that's going on. And so
Making that
I
good
think
trouble.
about that a lot.
Yeah.
Because everything changed, so it's so much different. And just like when they was going out marching and all of this, and now a lot of things that just swept under the rug, and they don't. It seemed to me as if it's just another generation coming on that's not involved like that generation was,
Right.
like we was.
That all of that activism, and
Yes.
and doing, you have to get into this good trouble that we're talking about. You have to be
Yeah.
active in it. It's not a
But that's
passive
what he
thing.
was. He was an
Yeah.
activist. He wasn't just inside in the sideline. Robert got out there and moved. What they doing now? Foot soldiers. They honoring foot soldiers now. That's what he was. He was a foot soldier.
Absolutely.
He got out there and moved. He would still be moving now. But the Lord called him home. Because this is what they call Black History Month. We got 1 month, Black History Month. Robert would be out there being an activist. He been an activist all his days. When we was in the fields, Robert was an activist. He was.
On the porch in this picture.
I know my mom is sitting on the porch, and
Yeah.
I'll be honest, who's Elder Mimi? Elder May? Who's on the porch there with Mom? Who's on that porch with Mom there?
There's been a lot of questions about that.
Yeah,
And I still don't,
Oh no, you're good.
not for sure.
I'm still not sure
Yeah.
who this is. But quite a few have asked. But one
Yeah,
of
that's Mom on this side.
But
Yeah,
we just don't know.
Right.
And we lived in a neighborhood where everybody was just
Family.
cousin,
Yeah.
relatives.
Yeah.
So if I would just stop by,
Yeah.
and hey,
visit.
sit on the porch.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Beautiful.
So
And how nice to live in an area growing up where everybody, everybody's
Yeah.
family, everybody's hanging out together.
everybody was kin.
Hmm.
So
I'm sure that sense of community shaped all of you all into,
Yeah,
who
it
you
really
are
did.
today.
Yeah.
hey,
Hmm.
this is where they was at.
Yeah.
They would come by and visit.
Everybody came to the same place.
Yes.
I love it. What a
I am
special,
not sure.
Yeah.
But,
what a special picture to have, though. Mm. And then what are some of these others?
This one is, matter of fact, that's a picture of my mom and the congressman actually sitting in the swing.
Oh.
Matter of fact, that swing.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is a
May not be the same swing, but it's in the same location.
Same
That right
spot.
there, same spot. Yeah.
Oh. And as of course, when he was a lot younger, when y'all were younger, her concern was all. Did she think about all of that? Him growing into that arena of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, that was interesting. And my mom would always tell him she had this thing of a lot of times she didn't say be careful, she said be particular. Yeah, that was her word, be particular. So, of course, that's when they was You know, coming across the Edmonds
Yeah.
Pettus Bridge.
The bridge.
Yeah, the bridge. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
And that's the main focus on the John Lewis Legacy Institute.
Yes.
Yeah, that particular picture.
Such an inspiring picture.
Yeah.
For such a young person making such a big
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
I mean, stepping, knowing what he was about to step
Right,
into.
yeah.
At that young age.
Yeah.
And you know what that look says? No fear.
No fear.
No fear
No fear.
determines.
That's right.
No
yeah.
fear.
Yeah. He told us one time that I can't think of the gentleman that was marching beside him. John said that he asked him, said, "John, what are we gonna do?" He said, "I can't swim, so we're gonna face the blue uniforms." So that's what they had to do. They had to face it.
The fact that he had that forethought.
Yeah.
I can't swim.
I can't swim,
you know?
so we can't jump
That's
off
the
this
only
bridge.
escape.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's where y'all have it.
And this is the picture of 6 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Because my baby sister passed away October 10th to be
Yeah.
3 years, 2 years, 3 years.
Huh?
Be 3 years, October 10th. So it'll be 3 years, October 10th.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just that one. She was the baby of all.
Oh,
Yeah,
so sorry.
yeah,
What a
yeah.
beautiful picture,
Now
though.
these 2 lives in Detroit. Those 2, yeah. Yeah.
Do you all try and get together as much as you can?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We do. Because this is a picture of all of us back in the. That was back in the 70s, because you can see the big afros, so you can tell that was a long time ago. Yeah.
And that's your mom and dad, right?
Mom and dad.
Yep. Oh wow, what a great.
And the oldest of the 10 is right. The oldest of the 10 is to the left of my mom. Yes. Yeah.
So you county, 3 boys. I mean, so 3 girls and 7 boys. You the county.
Right.
Yeah. A lot.
Right. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, I'm sure that was hard being outnumbered like that.
I'm like, well, it's okay.
It was okay. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Not too bad.
It seems like y'all had, I mean, you still have, obviously, just such a strong family unit, you know.
I never noticed me. You and me and Orly had the same eyes.
Huh?
You and me and Orly had the same eyes.
We do.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all can't deny each other. That's for
Same
sure.
eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, this is a picture
Yeah,
here
I was
of.
about to say this is
Yeah, it's a
incredible.
picture of the medal. Award, the Medal of Freedom. Yeah, that my brother Sam and I witnessed. We was there
Yeah.
for that event. Yeah, we was there for that event.
So what did that moment feel like?
Yeah.
That felt precious. I'm gonna tell you, we was in one of the rooms at the White House. So that was special. You know, we got this special invitation from the White House to attend. So all that was really.
How did the late congressman feel about all of that that moment in particular?
Yeah, he thought that moment was special. I'm sure he never really dreamed of that happening, but yeah, but still, in all of that, he was still really humble about it. Yeah.
I think that's that speaks to that that he, I mean, did all of these
Yeah.
incredible
Yeah.
things, and he never expected any
Right.
recognition or reward
Right.
for it. He just did it because it was right.
Yeah.
What
And
a
you-
great,
Yeah.
face that
Right.
former President Obama has. Just looking.
Right.
You can tell that obviously.
Yeah.
That was a special moment
Right.
for him too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yes, because you paid the way for it. Well,
Paid the way for
You paid
for
the way.
President
That's what I was
Obama.
thinking.
For so
Yeah.
Without
So
the
many.
work
Yeah.
that
So many.
they did.
Yeah.
So many.
And President Obama referenced that on his speech that day.
Yeah.
At the first inauguration. Yeah. Matter of fact, I was at that inauguration, and I remember him saying, we did this on the backs of people like John Lewis and so many others. yeah.
Matter of fact, we was at the birthday celebration of John in Atlanta.
Matter of fact, 65th,
Right. And,
yeah, birthday.
they announced that President Obama would be the first black president, and it came to pass.
My parents were actually at that inauguration.
Huh?
My parents actually went to the inauguration.
So,
The first one?
The first one.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That was cold as I've ever been. So this is what the congressman would come home to when he would want to get out of Atlanta,
Yeah.
get out of Washington, where he really felt the home cooking. This is where he would come to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been vacant now for 2.5 years. My baby sister retired from California, and when she moved back, she stayed here until she passed away.
Right.
October will be 3 years ago. That's right. And so, but this is home for us.
Yeah.
This is, yeah.
How often did he tend to do that? Want to escape and come back here?
He would come, sometime quite often. And sometimes he may come and may not be here for a couple hours because of his schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then there are times when he would come and stay 2 or 3 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he would come to his niece and nephew's graduations, his great niece and nephew's birthday parties, and stuff like that. Yeah, so
Doing all of the family
doing all of the things that uncle and great uncles do. That's what he did. Yeah, he tried to attend as much as possible.
In a home setting, what did he like to do?
Come home and eat some good fried chicken, and his favorite was sweet potato pan pie. He loved that. And during my mom's lifetime, she really made a good one. So
Yeah.
And just relax. He liked to go fishing, like to fish. So yeah, and just walk around and reminisce.
Yeah.
It's the things he liked to really enjoy doing. And
Sure, being here, just
Yeah.
being able to be
Right.
where truly felt like home
yeah,
was rest in and of itself.
right, yeah. This was his true peaceful time. Yeah. Loved to read the newspaper. Yeah, that was one of his. Something he really enjoyed. He could sit and read newspaper all day. Yeah. So.
Tell me about this picture behind you.
So this picture here, I think, is he dedicated this picture to my mother. I think you might see up in the corner there. I
Yeah.
think he said, to my mother. Yeah. And I don't remember the year, but that picture was dedicated because this, as he used to say, this was back when I had some hair. So that was one of his things. So
He said, "I'll pick a picture with some hair in it to
so-
give to the family."
So that's a really, really old picture, but that was truly John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's awesome. Yeah. And of course, this picture here is when we talked about the Edmonds
my
Paradise Bridge.
goodness.
That's that sea of blue
Yeah.
that I was telling you
Watching
that they faced. The state troopers.
Watching the documentary, there was some footage in there that I had never seen
Never seen?
before. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was. I think some of the angles that it was shot from showed a very,
Right.
Of course, it was terrible. You can see
Oh yeah.
the expressions on
Yeah.
their faces a little bit clearer.
Right.
It's-
Right. They had tear gas. As you can see, the trooper have on gas masks.
Right.
They didn't have on anything. So you can imagine the danger there. Yeah. And on that day, he was had a cracked skull.
Yeah.
That day. Yeah. Left for dead. Yeah. And made it back to Brown Chapel Church. And he don't even remember who or how he got back to that church. But somebody got him back to that church and got some medical attention. But he had a skull fracture. Yeah.
Thinking back on that time and, you know, what he did obviously brings up a lot of emotions.
Oh yeah, it does. Just the fact that they went through that, or that even they would even have to go through that,
Right.
you know, in order to make the world a better place. And at that time, this was before the Voting Rights Act was signed, so I was not able to vote. You know, my parents wasn't able to vote until they was way on up, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, in age. So, you know, and those are the things he didn't like.
Right.
So that's why that was one of the reasons they fought so hard. So everyone would have the same rights and privileges.
When you mentioned earlier that events like this, you know, it opened America's eyes to the bigger picture at hand.
Bigger picture.
But it's also important to note that it had to get that way for people to notice, you know, what the cost that they had to pay.
Right. And you know, during that march, there were several attempts of march from Selma to Montgomery.
Right.
Yeah. That was, I think, the very first one. And they attempted another one, and then it was decided not to on their own because just the timing was not right.
Yeah.
But then the successful one was later, and which a lot of people don't realize, this very first march, Martin Luther King was not a part of that march. So I've always felt myself that Bloody Sunday had to happen, because if Bloody Sunday had have been peaceful, I don't think the Voting Rights Act would have been signed when it was.
Right.
It might have been signed at some point,
But
but I don't think at that time. I think that had to happen so America could take a wake-up call, could see what happened. Not only did America see that, the rest of the world saw it.
Yeah,
So and
everybody.
I just don't think that the way they want to be recognized. And I think that was, as I said earlier, I think that was one of the main reasons for the Voting Rights Act being signed.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned, you know, it hopefully would have been signed eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
But,
Yeah,
you know, they put themselves
right.
there
in
to
harm's
make it
way.
happen
Yeah,
then.
right. In harm's way.
And
And
how
you know,
different would our world be if
yeah, like they spit on them and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and they didn't retaliate. So when it come to pass, when it really happened,
had
they would
that
know how to
practice.
react. Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, you can talk all you want
Yeah.
about what you're going to do in that
Yeah.
situation, but having
When
that
it happened,
practical
yeah.
experience,
right. So, yeah.
I'm sure he had some interesting stories too.
Oh, yeah.
of all of that philosophy and you know,
Right,
teaching
right.
that.
Yeah. And we go back to the bridge crossing every year ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. We make that trip, you know, tons of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
and it's a special feeling being able to, you know, march across that bridge and during his service, his homegoing service. He made that last trip across that bridge in the horse and carriage.
Yeah.
And we had the privilege of walking behind the horse and carriage, and that was precious. Yeah. Yeah.
What a poignant moment of, you know,